following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Hi, welcome to Exit Strategy. I'm Bobby. Sadly, Jasmine isn't here today. She said, listen, I can't be in the same room with both of you. It's going to be too ridiculous. I just can't, right? So, you know, she's a quitter. It's okay. But today I have Kila.
Yep.
Kila, say hi.
Hi.
All right, so Kila, you are a operational manager of a recovery center. Is that correct?
Yep, I'm the Recovery Center's operations manager for SOS RCO, and we operate out of Dover, Rochester, and Hampton.
Okay, and you guys are more of a community resource center, I believe, right?
Peer Recovery Center.
Okay, so what made you want to go into this field, right? Because it's a tough field to get into.
So tough.
It's tough. People don't think it is what it is. They get this different idea of what it is, and it kind of takes a certain personality to be able to do it. So what kind of led you into your role today?
So I actually moved here from California.
Okay.
My father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Okay. I had maybe 5 months into recovery, and for once in my life, I wanted to be a daughter. And support my family. I was never really able to do that before.
Yeah.
My addiction always took precedence. Or my substance use disorder, I should say, mental health issues really came in the way of me being any kind of daughter, sister, friend, anything.
Yeah.
So I showed up in Dover, New Hampshire.
Seacoast is nice, though.
It's pretty
Seacoast
cold.
Is nice.
It's cold. It's pretty.
Yeah, but you got Portsmouth right there.
Yeah.
You know, you got Durham.
And right now, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was culture shock.
Okay. A little bit different than Cali?
Yeah, a little bit different.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, well,
like,
and we
not much.
not much. Just
like
a little.
At all. It's pretty much the same.
Barely till we moved 3,000 miles.
So Dover is basically California, is what I'm getting.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, and then Rochester's like LA.
Oh, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so I just fit right. Sorry, Siri went off.
It's
she
okay.
gets a little nosy.
Listen, we're just rolling with it. It's
okay. So, we moved out here, and we also chose to move here in December.
Good choice.
Good choice. Really smart choice.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I don't even have to say it.
Yeah, we were proud. We got there, and I was working from home. My parents and I's relationship got a little bit, distant. While I was living in California, there was a lot of trust stuff, a lot of stuff to build back up. So I didn't come home to welcome arms and yay, Kila's home. It was like, oh, we better make sure the ADT's up. And I had strict boundaries with them. And it was very scary. I didn't know anybody here except for, he was my boyfriend then, now my husband. And my dog. Thank you. Thank you. Super, super stoked to be with him.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a really good life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit, because on the show we do talk about recovery. We talk about, certain people's experiences with recovery, their individual journeys. We've had people from family support groups to people in recovery. You kind of just said that you were in 5 months, so you're in recovery.
Yeah.
So just
a little bit of the before.
Yeah, a little bit before the,
right.
what were the things that kind of happened that made you say, okay, I need to change, and what it's like now.
Yeah. So I have struggled with my substance use disorder since I was 13 years old.
Okay.
Mental health kind of started kicking in at that point too. I did a line of methamphetamine at 13, and it changed my world. It made me so incredibly numb and so incredibly high that I had arrived. 13 years old, I found it.
Weird. So you found that solution.
Yeah. And by 15, I was injecting heroin.
Okay.
Black tar heroin in Southern California in high school. I remember going to school with bruises on my arms, hoping nobody would notice.
Yeah.
but at the same time praying somebody would, because I had already like been stuck, right? I've already like created this habit that if I stop, I'm gonna get sick, and I can't tell my parents, you know, I'm 15, 16 years old. And, you know, I continued to use and use and use. 17 years old, I got really, really sick. I was living in a little shack in Santa Ana, California, called my cousin to come get me, and to the rescue he came. And I entered into recovery. Got my first apartment by the time I was 18. Was doing really good. I'd already been through AA, been to meetings. I was going regularly. Got my GED before I was even supposed to graduate. So I got everything back together by the time I was 18, and then I met a man. And that's when it all went back downhill again. We were super toxic together, spent 10 years together. So continued to use that 10 years, not a thought of recovery even entered my head. It was super toxic. In that 10 years, I lost my brother, Bobby. I lost my father, who I had just barely met. I had lost my grandfather. And I had also found Oxycontin. And so the greatest thing about that adventure was that in my mind, I didn't even think I had a problem, right?
Right, because it's prescribed.
And it was cool that I was snorting it. I wasn't injecting it, so I didn't have a heroin problem again, right? The doctor's giving it to me. My pain is justifiable. It is so bad.
It's crazy how like, because like the thing is, right? So like, we can joke about this now, right? Because I do the same thing. You know, it's just like, you know, I had such bad anxiety that they had to give me benzo, right? And like, nah, I'm just naturally like a high energy person. You know what I mean? But like in our heads, that makes 100% complete sense. Right? Like I'm
justified.
Okay. Oh yeah. Like
so justified.
Like I'm okay with giving away and losing a bunch of stuff because, okay, I have this one pill or this one drink or whatever that makes me feel okay. And also I have this person in my life telling me it's okay. Right? And I feel like that's a common trap that people fall into. I don't even want to say trap.
It's a vicious cycle. It's that manipulation. It's the, you know, I learned how to manipulate myself really well. I could make everything, like I could justify any behavior. And it was usually because of you, you know, or you.
Was it me?
No, not you. Not yet.
All right.
I'm gonna give it time, Bobby. We could.
We still got like 20 minutes. So like,
we may get there.
I've worked with less.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Oh, it's not even a chance. It's a definite. Don't worry.
All right,
I got
cool.
you.
As long as we're on the same page.
Oh yeah, no, we're set. We're fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
So
I'm at the end of that 10 years. Right? Because I decided, hey, dude, I can't get clean without you or with you. I have to go do this without you. So I'm not only leaving you, I'm leaving my entire addiction behind. I have to go do this. So I checked into a rehab in Colorado. We lived in Colorado at the time. And it was the most beautiful treatment center I've ever seen. Fast forward later, there's still 17 more that I would go to. Because that didn't do the trick. But it was beautiful. And I did leave that treatment center with 5 years. After I left there, I got 5 years in recovery and I worked a solid program of NA. And during that 5 years, you know, I still think back to it. I'm like, what happened? And I'm processing a lot through therapy. I do therapy once a week. And it's very intense, trying to figure out why. My whole goal this time around has been like, what makes me tick? Like, why do I do what I do? Because if I can figure that out, maybe I'll have some kind of solution in my life and have some kind of peace.
It's self-knowledge, but with action behind it too.
Right. Self-awareness has been really, really, really big for me this time around. So yeah, I had that 5 years, and I keep thinking of, you know, I married a doctor. I had all of my family back. I painted this beautiful picture of what I thought everybody wanted Kila to be. Right. So I wanted to make everybody else happy, and I always felt like there was something missing. Right. I didn't feel this like thing that like everybody talk about these burning bushes and all these moments, and after their step work where they would feel this and that, and I worked my steps 3 times over. I walked 17 women through their steps. And I always like there was something missing, right? So after I was married for about, I think 5 months, I decided something switched in my head, which now I know I stopped. I am I'm medicated. I take psych meds on a regular basis. And I realized at that point I had stopped taking those.
Okay.
And my mental health, it is really bad, and it messes with me to the point where I do need to use. I can't cope with life any other way. And I get that now, and I'm okay with that. I was always afraid of like the stigma behind that.
Yeah. And
I'm really proud.
no, and that's the thing, right? So like we always talk about the stigma of addiction, right? Or substance use disorder. Is it misuse disorder at this point?
I think it's misuse now.
Right. Okay. It always changes.
It
The
does.
language
I'm
always.
trying to keep up with it. It's hard.
tough.
I don't want to offend anybody in it, but I really work on it.
Yeah, but like there's that whole mental health side of it too, right? And like nobody wants to talk about that because
It's always been shamed. Like,
you
have mental health, don't talk about it. Don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, she sees a therapist.
Yeah.
You know.
She takes medication.
Yeah, it's something that like people feel like they're not comfortable in talking about. It's this thing that most of the population deals with, but it's like that dirty little secret, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a societal, okay, this isn't okay, even though it is okay, and I do it, but it's still not okay.
It's still hard to, when I do talk about it, I usually try to not talk about my substance use disorder without talking about my mental health issues.
Yeah, because it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I can't. There's not one. It leads to another.
Yeah.
Which all stems from, my ACEs score, my adverse childhood experience score. I score 6 on the ACEs, and so when you look at the trauma, and then you look at my mental health, like there's a reason that I use, and I get that now, and that's taken a lot of work. Yeah. So I left him. I left everything, moved back to California, and went back on this insane 4-year super traumatic run. That run has been the reason that I really haven't shared my story. It was so traumatic to me, and the things that happened during that 4 years. I still have really bad nightmares over them, and there's a lot of things that like will trigger the trauma, or I just haven't been ready. And I won't go into detail about that 4 years, but what I can tell you is it brought me to my knees. Yeah. I hit, we talk about bottoms in recovery, and I don't have a bottom. Like, let's just be clear. Yeah. I don't have a bottom.
We can always go lower.
I have proved to myself over and over, like,
every time,
just when I thought.
Every time I was like, all right, I need to change. It's like, this is my bottom. It can't possibly get worse. Right? And like, for me too, like, I don't know if this is you too. It wasn't like losing a place to live or not, like being,
that's nothing.
Whatever, right? Like for me personally, it was the emotional bottoms. It was like, some people call it spiritual or whatever, right?
Pain.
Yeah, that bottom of when you wake up every morning, mad that you woke up.
Yeah. You can't die.
Yeah.
I couldn't die. I was trying to kill, like, I am a suicide survivor over and over and over again.
Yep.
I couldn't, I was like, I can't even die right. What is wrong with me? Like, I can't get anything right. I keep messing up everything in my life. And all I know is that it hurts inside, and it's so dark. It's so dark in there. Yeah. And I never knew what to do with it. And so I ended up homeless. I lived in an alley with, anybody who knows me knows that my dog Delilah is my best friend. She's my world. She is.
What kind of dog?
She's a pit bull. She's a blue-nosed pit bull.
Oh,
yeah. I would, if I had my phone, I would show everybody pictures right now. But
I love blue nose.
So she's my baby. She's my kid. We don't have children.
Yeah.
But my parents actually came and they drove from Dover to Huntington Beach, California.
They drove?
They drove. Well, my mom just kept showing up. There was the strangest thing. Like, I would need my mom, and she would just be there. She had to take me to the hospital when I almost lost my leg from infection. And she was like the Uber driver. It was weird. She just kept finding me. I don't know how. Thank you, Mom. I love you.
Woman's a saint.
My mother is the reason that I'm still here today, because she's that one person. We all need one person to not give up on us. We all need one person to keep loving us through all of the pain, and that woman is my woman.
So you brought up, that's a good point, right? But you also said something at the beginning of the story that I think is important to talk about too. They set boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? So that, like, for me, like, those were mutually exclusive before. Right. Like, oh, you set boundaries, you don't love me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, oh, you're telling me.
Why do you hate me?
Yeah. Don't you see how much pain I'm in? I need $20.
Yeah, and I'm like, Mom, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just stop? And I remember she would come like, why can't you just stop? And it was this thing that my mother and I went through for 25 years together.
Yeah.
You know, nobody else stuck around.
No.
Nobody else could. You know, I have a beautiful little sister and 3 nephews, and she's not ready to be in my life yet. And I get that, because all that little girl has known is her sister coming in and out.
Yeah.
And so that is space for later, and that's, you know, hopefully that comes back. But my mother, no matter what I put her through, we've had to do a lot of healing over the last 2 years. We still have a lot of healing to go, but that woman has been my rock.
Yeah.
She has been amazing. And the first time she ever set boundaries with me was I was in rehab in Fountain Valley, California.
Okay.
And I called her, I'm like, Mommy, I don't have food. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm in rehab. You should help me, you know, because that's what they've always done. Like, I'm in rehab. They would help me however they could. And she said, no, you can go get food stamps. You can figure it out. There's food pantries there, and you can go figure it out. I'm like, and at that moment, I thanked her. I said, oh my God, thank you for setting boundaries, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I knew at that time, like, I needed boundaries set with me.
Yeah, of course.
I really needed something
but
to change.
that takes a level of maturity and being around long enough to know that that's an important thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't not have boundaries.
No.
You know,
No.
like, if I can get high or get drunk consequence free, like, guess
I'll be doing
what?
it all the time.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna get high and drunk consequence free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have to have severe consequences for my behaviors and my actions for me to even, like, begin to realize, and they have to be severe.
And I have to realize, like, oh, maybe this is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because if nothing bad happens, then is it a problem?
No, we're cool. That's why my run lasted 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. Because, I mean, I was maintaining up until I wasn't. For probably, like, the last year, really. I was like, I would do a shot, and I would, like, not be going to work and be very aware of, like, you know, because I did have a head full of recovery.
Yeah.
And so every shot I would do, I'm like, here goes the car, there goes the house, there goes the job, there goes everything, everything. All, like, just pushing everybody further and further and further away. And, you know, the last night I spent outside on a cold sidewalk was in Huntington Beach under the stairs of a recovery center. I slept just in a little ball, and I was so cold. And I knew that I had angels watching over me. I was kind of in a meth-induced psychosis, a little bit crazy. So I had people following me everywhere.
CIA or shadow people?
FBI.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I was a big deal apparently in my head. That I really thought I was somebody special. So I went back into the rooms, and I was greeted with love. And this is in Huntington Beach. And my parents had taken Delilah from me. I was in jail. That's a whole story in itself, but they put me in jail, or they didn't. I put myself in jail.
Yep.
They took Delilah and said, you can't have her back until you get it together. And there I was once again. I'm ready to do it, and I fought, and I got Delilah back 3 months later. Picked myself up out of that alley. I didn't have support, like, really at all. Like, I had my AA group, my NA group, still trying to find my way. It was really hard to go back into those rooms after that long away. I was tired of those key tags and coins. Every time I would stand up, I just was so full of shame. And I stayed in recovery for about 6 months. My brother's death date anniversary came, and I used. Delilah was not enough, and I really thought that she was enough. I thought getting my whole family back that first time around, and the one person I didn't get back was my father. He left at 17. He has a relationship with the other kids, but he just can't. It's too emotional for him to even probably deal with me. And that's okay, and I get that. But when he didn't walk his little girl down the aisle, that was where I know looking back. That's when I know I snapped, and that's when that 5-year ran. So here I was again, being in recovery for another person, place, or thing. Right? My dad, the dog, and that didn't work. Nothing was working, and I was in and out of the program. I actually was using in a sober living. Don't ever do that, guys. If you ever...
I feel like that's frowned upon.
It is a little frowned upon, and it's pure torture because you had to hide out in your room really high, away from everybody, and God forbid you make eye contact because they're going to know. So that was brutal.
So just the insanity.
Yeah,
right?
Insanity, and back and back and back.
You know, and just different levels.
Yeah, and my insanity is pretty insidious. it takes a form of like, so I know the definition of insanity is repeating the same mistakes over and over, expecting different results.
Yep.
My definition is that I know exactly what's going to happen, yet I do it anyways. I don't care. Like, that is insanity to me.
Because you know what that 5 minutes is going to be.
Yep, and it's going to give me that 5 minutes of relief from whatever's going on in here, right?
So what was the time that worked for you, right? Because you're in recovery now.
Yep.
You know, you seem like a strong woman in recovery.
Thank you.
You know, you're okay with talking about this stuff. Like, what happened? What led to that?
So I met my husband. He, was the hot guy in jail that had pictures of him playing pinochle. And of course I'm like, yeah, you're in prison. How many felonies do you have? And that was my prerequisite to date anybody at that time. Like, the more felonies, the better.
Okay.
Because I was sick, and that's all I, thought I could get at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
thank God I did, because I met the love of my life. And it went, I met him. I was lying to him off and on.
Okay.
He ended up going to jail to take care of some old charges. He stayed in recovery. He got out. He couldn't figure out why I wouldn't bail him out, but really, I needed that money to go buy a 6-pack of heroin, and told him I couldn't afford it. And he got out, and he said, check it out, chick. This is what you can do. You can go to treatment today.
Yeah.
Or I can drop you off at your dope dealer's house. You can go at it, do what you need to do, get it out of your system. I love you. I will wait around as long as I can. I'm going to take care of our little girl, our dog.
Yep.
But I don't know how long I can wait. So what do you want to do? And I just started crying. I'm like, please take me to get help.
Yeah.
Went back to the same treatment center I'd went to previously. And I have been in recovery ever since. And I thought I was going to lose that recovery when I moved out here, because it was, my sister lives very close to me, and that's a big source of my pain.
Yeah.
I didn't have any friends. The AA meetings were really weird out there in Dover, and I didn't connect. They're not weird now to me.
Yeah.
But at that time, being new, I could feel my disease was trying to push every support system out of the way. And
this isn't normal, so I don't like it.
Yeah, you guys aren't like my punk rock group that are in Huntington Beach, California, that I love so much.
Yeah.
Like, the girl, I remember Lena asked me, she's one of my coworkers at SOS, and she was like, do you want to come play board games? I'm like, well, the girls, like, that was for girls' night. And I'm like, we go to punk rock shows for girls' night in California. Like, okay, and I felt so awkward.
I'm more of a hardcore kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Waitress,
it's just,
stuff like
that's
that.
what we did. And
Yeah.
that's, and it was very different here. And so I couldn't relate. It was very hard for me. And I walked into SOS, and I hated it. I hated my volunteer job there the first day. I really, very transparent about that.
Okay. Why'd you hate it?
Because I thought it was weird that they call people and say, hi, how's your recovery today? I thought that was weird. We don't have peer services in California, so it was very foreign.
Okay.
And I started going through their classes. I actually ended up falling in love with, my volunteer position. I was met where I was at, and Lena said, well, if you don't want to do the TRSS calls, what are you good at? What do you want to do? And she let me thrive. And I did a little art position with this woman. We did vision boards for, I think, like 6 weeks together. It was just her and I. Every Wednesday we'd show up.
What was your vision board?
My vision board is still being created.
Okay.
It's a constant change, ever-changing thing.
Okay.
So this, where I'm at now, was once on my vision board, including my husband and even down to my little white Honda. That was all I needed at that time. Like, the first vision board was like, I wanted a white Honda, and we ended up with one. It's weird.
Okay.
So I kept showing up there. Then they offered me Recovery Coach Academy, and that's where I learned that there's 26 million people in recovery today, and 7 million of them work 12-step programs.
Yep.
And so I was on this mission to find out what the other, millions of people do to sustain their recovery. And I found that I got to choose my recovery.
Okay.
I get to say what it is, and whatever I choose for that path is okay.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
And that's something people don't talk about either. Everybody says like there's these programs or whatever, and these are the only way, right? And
I was that person.
There's a bunch of different avenues.
There's
really
a million different ways to get to the same path, to the same result. It just doesn't really matter how we all get there, but we all get to this point of these manageable lives where we get to be grown up and be a part of society. And, I worked my way up through the ranks at SOS.
Yep.
And I got hired as a 2-hour position daycare worker. Never watched a baby because they didn't show up ever.
Yeah.
But then I got promoted. They had a position for recovery support worker.
Okay.
Did that job and then got promoted again to capacity building specialist. I ran Rochester Center. And then again, for my last promotion was the operations manager for all the recovery centers. And it has been so beneficial to my life because it's been challenging.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, it never is.
It is not an easy job.
Never is.
It really, yeah. And we work with people at all different stages in recovery, and that includes myself and our staff. And I get met where I'm at by my peers and my director.
Yeah.
And now I get to meet other people where they're at, and it's this continuous waterfall of love that I get to be submersed in every day. And I know it sounds super fluffy and rainbowy and unicorns.
No, but I get that.
But it's really amazing. I work with my family.
Yeah.
And so I just have to say to Josh and Bethany and to Jenny, I love you guys because they would have killed me if I didn't say that.
Okay. Why'd you cover your mouth then?
I was yelling it. I was hiding it from you. So you didn't see. Yeah.
Yeah. Down to the mic.
Okay. Oh, the mic. I have a mic. So yeah, Jenny, Josh, and Bethany. I love you guys.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, so we got 1.5 minutes left, right?
Right.
So I like to wrap it up with, if somebody's watching right now, they're struggling, what would you say to them?
Same thing that I say to everybody who walks in the doors at SOS is, we're here for you. We love you. We're never going to leave your side as long as you want us here. Recovery is possible. Just keep hanging on and don't give up. Practice, harm reduction. Use clean needles until you're ready. Use Narcan. Make sure you're using with somebody. Make sure you stay safe while you're in the process of trying to get there. We love you. That's it. It's the power of connection and the power of love.
Yeah, it's just letting them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Right, because everybody feels alone when they're in active addiction.
Yeah, and damn it, hug dirty people. Hug the homeless, hug everybody who we should ask first, but
yeah, I wouldn't just go. So full disclosure, just don't go around
hugging random people.
Yeah,
they might think it's weird, but
it could be misinterpreted
a little bit.
That's just the whole thing, and it's weird to explain.
Yeah, why are you hugging me, strange lady? And I get that reaction sometimes too, please don't hug me, and I have to step back because not everybody wants hugs, but most people do. Because I remember that first hug that I got when I walked in off the street.
And you feel okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so remember how you were saying this was going to be forever? We're done.
I know.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Aww.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.